How's everybody doing today? We're here with Heritage Handcrafts, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a waxed canvas foraging bag. Let's start off with our leather, and then I'll show you how to do some canvas waxing, a little bit of sewing. What we got here is a 4-ounce piece of veg tan leather. I've pre-made a pattern to make this go a little quicker. Marked out my lines. We're going to get this set on here, even it up, and we're going to take a scratch awl and mark our pattern onto the leather. Let's get that. So, how this is going to work is you have 8 inches from bottom to this first line. This little flap is 2.5 inches, and the total is 2.5 inches wide. So what this is going to allow us to do is put our wax canvas pouch in here, and then once we get it folded up, we'll be able to close this piece of leather over it, button it down, and it'll keep it nice and compact. Alright, now that we got our lines drawn out here, let's get to cutting. You always want to use a metal roller when cutting leather, and make sure it has a corked back, because you don't want your blade going into the plastic or wood on the other rollers, and you definitely don't want it skipping off and going into your finger cut. And a rotary cutter is real nice and handy. I used to use a utility knife, or I use a utility knife sometimes, and it works great too. But this rotary knife is just buttery smooth, and we'll be using fabric today, and it makes cutting fabric way easier. Alright. Then at the top I'm going to put just a little bit of a curve in here, and I marked the curve with this compass protractor. I forget the name of these things. I think it's a protractor. Let's see how we did. Not too bad. So we have that. Got our registration marks. This is going to end up being like this. Then got a good grip. Pop it open. Have our canvas. Alright, now that we have our leather cut out, we're going to work on cleaning up these edges, making it look a little nicer. I'm going to go in with the edge beveler here. I'm just going to knock off these corners. A nice sharp edge beveler though is a blessing. Alright, next up we're going to burnish the edges. I like to use Tokonol. It works good for me. The only downside to this Tokonol is on veg tan. If you get it on your finished surface, it's gonna leave a spot there if you try and like stain it or wax it afterwards. Just a little bit right now. So what you do is you get it on your edge. Looks like we're going to see what I was talking about there. Made a mishap. You get it on your edge and you can use a burnisher, just one of these like wooden things, or just a piece of like canvas. Works just as well. Just go up and down. I'm making a mess. And it's mostly about friction, not so much about pressure. Alright, I'm going to try and bring you in close and show you what I'm doing here. Taking this tokenol, I'm putting it on the very edge, trying not to make a mess, even though I've already failed epically at that. But we'll see later on in this video if I can redeem myself and fix this. I think I can. I have a trick. But we get the tokenol on there. Get the excess off though. Like I said, you can take a wood burnisher. You're just going back and forth. Piece of canvas. Same thing. And what we're trying to do is recreate like months of your piece of leather being pulled in and out of your pockets or whatever, and it's just rubbing against other fabric, or it's just rubbing against anything. So if you put your tokenol on there, you burnish it, and it still seems a little fuzzy and not quite up to what you want, you can take a piece of sandpaper, this is like 300 grit, and you knock down those fuzzes. Then we'll go back over with the tokenol. Let that soak in a little bit. Then go back and burnish it again, and it should knock down those fuzzies and get a nice shine like you want it. Alright, so in this section I'm putting my template on here. I'm going to trace it out. What I have here is just a double-sided fabric marker. One side is water-soluble ink and one side is air and water-soluble ink. And we're just going to lay this down on our fabric, mark it, and cut it. So after I get this marked out, I'm going through and I'm marking the center on them. And then these lines on the side are for my seam allowance. And it's going to be a 5/8 seam allowance, so I can roll it over and clean up the raw edges on this fabric so you don't have just strings falling off of it. Alright, now that we have the fabric cut out, mark those lines for the seam allowance here. We're going to add lines straight across so I can fold this over for the seam allowance. And we're going to do that with the help of a ruler. And my washable marker. So mark a line here. Do the same on this one. Then I'm going to mark a line on the bottom, same seam allowance. We'll leave the top for now. We got something special going on the top. it's a 5/8 seam allowance. Mark it. Mark it again. Straight edge. Same with this one. Alright, now that we have the lines marked out, we are going to make our lives a lot easier, and we are going to press these seams. All you do to press the seams is add a little bit of water. We're going to flip them over to our line. Then we take an iron on low. Just press them down. Alright, now that I have my seams folded and pressed, we're going to go ahead and stitch them up and get them all tidied so we don't have any raw edges anymore. So now that I have all 4 sides pressed and stitched up, we are going to find the top. I marked the center from earlier on the pattern. I want to put this grommet in there, so the pull string. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull this down. We're going to measure it about where we want it. I say that looks good, maybe a little extra for the stitching. Then I'm going to mark it on my sides here so I can transfer that over to the other piece of cloth. Then I'll press and stitch. Alright, we got our lines marked. Now I'm going to get this grommet where I want to. Give it a little test. I'm going to mark it. After I get this marked, I'm going to punch a hole for it. Alright, now we have the hole punched. I'm going to put the grommet in here and we're going to set it. Set it. You punch your hole for your grommet and set your grommet. You're going to take both those halves and you sew them together. Then we'll fold it over and sew that together to make space for our drawstring. Alright, now we have both the halves sewn together. I folded it over to get the spacing on my grommet correct. It's hidden underneath there. I'm about to put it in the sewing machine and sew around that loop. Alright, so we made the pouch, got our grommet, turned it back right side out. Now is the time when canvas bag becomes wax canvas bag. So I have a mixture of paraffin wax and mineral oil, and we're going to slather it on here. I've put it in a convenient applicator. Get a healthy dosing all the way across this. You want to make sure this is dry too. I took the iron over there and I dried up any of the wet spots we had left behind. This might actually work better if it was inside out. And this should hold up fairly well. You might have to reapply after a while, or if you wash it, but I don't think you'll be washing it with the leather attached to it. So I'm going to get this coated, then I'll come back when it's time to melt this in here. Alright, after a very healthy coat of our wax mineral oil mixture, and this is just parchment paper, wax paper. We're gonna apply some heat. Alright, so after more time than I'd like to care to admit, we have our canvas waxed. Now we're gonna get back to this piece of leather earlier. After I burnished it, you see we got some scents here and some scents there, little mistakes here and there. We're going to try and blend this in and make those go away. Give this a little Jesus. We take that same wax mineral oil, combination. This will waterproof your leather too. And if you want to stain, you should probably stain your leather before you do the burnishing, stuff like that. I just like the natural look, and to waterproof my stuff, because if our canvas is waterproof, might as well have the leather waterproof as well. And it's the same technique. Apply and heat. And to prevent that in the future, when you're burnishing, if you go and you hold like finish side towards you and run your finger down, all that excess will go on the back side where no one's really going to see it. And that saves you some hassle and blemishes. But I think it adds character. I say that because I did it. So what our main goal here is, bag's going down like this. When it's not in use, I'm going to fold it up. Then fold up this bottom. I think the air conditioner kicked on. Sorry for that. And I want it to fold like that. And we have to bring that down a little bit. Yeah, we want a convenient little pouch. So I just folded it back up like I wanted to. I'm going to mark some holes on the outside so I can get a better reference, see what I'm doing here. That folds up like I want it to. I'm going to go with this. We're even on both sides. See? Alright, I got my holes. What I'm doing here is I'm going to put holes so when I cut with a straight edge in between them, they're less likely to tear over time with a curve instead of just a straight cut through there. It's kind of like a relief. Get right there. And right there. Gonna take a straight edge and try and center up in between the holes, like so. Take a blade, in this case a scavenge knife. I'm going to cut from hole to hole. Just like that. Do the other side. Then you can put your belt through there. Then see those holes prevent it from ripping more. Alright, our next step here is to make two become one. So we need to lay some stuff out and figure out where we want our fasteners to go. So I got it folded up here, flap over. Seems pretty good to me on that part. So what I'm going to do next is take that scratch off. I'm going to find center. I'm going to push through all the way until I reach that other side. There we go. I made a mark there and a mark all the way through. Put holes there. Then we kind of want to figure out where we're going to put rivets in this bag. Have that. I'll flip this over. So that's where it's gonna be. So I probably want one. Let's not go where the grommet is. It's a fine line between where a belt will go through, or a carabiner, whatever you want to hook in there. You don't have to put a belt in there. And where our drawstring will go, because our grommet's here. So it's looking like this is going to be the best spot. Find center. See if I can poke through. See if it'll leave a mark in this bag. Just the faintest little mark in the bag. Right there. Too bad I already waxed it. That kind of worked. Put a little mark there so we know. So we want our holes. Then we want another one probably once we fold it. Fold it over like that. Then our button's gonna be like that. Have a button there. Let's go for the bottom down here. Yeah, we'll do it right about there. We'll do one right. I kind of pre-marked some holes when I had that template on there, but things have shifted and moved since there's actually fabric in there, not just two pieces of paper. We'll go right about there. Let's see if that marked the bag. Yep. I see it marked the bag. I lost a spot. There it is. I'm gonna lay down some holes real quick, and then we'll get this all attached together. One, two, three, and four. Now this one we can do without the bag in there. Make sure we do it right. Just put that on there. Put this in there. Have a little anvil here for it. This is just a cheap fastener set I picked up on Amazon. There's one. Get this other anvil out. This one's for setting this rivets. So it's got a little rounded over.
Alright, so after I got this all put together and riveted, I realized that pre-punching the holes in the fabric probably not needed, and maybe it makes it a little weaker. And then the rivets I used were just a little bit too small, so it pulled through the bag. What I ended up having to do was take this and make a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch little square and rivet it to the inside of the bag with a slightly larger rivet, and it's holding up a lot better. So if you're making this, you might take that into consideration.
And we'll get our last button in there. That looks good, that looks good. Oh, y'all can't see. We got it folded, we'll get our clasp in there. Make sure we do this on the right side. So this is the male end of a button snap. So you want to make sure the top of your button clasps into that. And since once it focuses, since we're folding this over, we want that piece go through here. Should have made a bigger hole. That piece to go in there like so. So when we clasp it over, it looks good. And then there's a different side of the anvil here. One side's got a little knob in the middle of it, and the other side's just round. This side's for setting your mill into the fastener. This one punch has just a little divot in it to go on the top. Put those two together. Give them a whack. And let's fold. Snaps together like so. Put it on our belt. Now I need to put a drawstring in it. Alright, well there we go. I didn't know the hardest part of this was going to be putting that drawstring in. But here it is, finished product. Still folds up nice. The wax made it a lot thicker. Well, not thicker, a lot stiffer. Nice convenient little pouch. Not a big profile, and I'm sure over time it'll squish down a little bit more. Pop it open. Put whatever you need in there. Great for, I'd say, camping. Maybe survivalist. And since we used, since I used a paraffin wax that is food grade and mineral oil, it should be fairly food safe. So if you wanted to put like berries or mushrooms, whatever you're out gathering, or heck, if you're just out camping or trying to primitive lifestyle, you can put your tinder in there, and it's I don't know if it would hold water with the seams, but it's pretty waterproof, and it should stay like that for a while. After like a couple months of use, you might have to apply some more of that wax coating, but I think it should last for a long time. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what y'all want to see me try and make next. Thank you. God bless.